And here we go. All right, so first we have Vagabond. He was scripted by Rorik. Vagabond was one of the AIs that was created during the script-off competitions, so it was scripted in a very brief time. And I think has received some minor updates since then, just to make it compatible with various other tournaments that have come since then. And so its main strategy is going for a castle rush into unique units. And with Koreans, that's one that has a civ that has a pretty strong unique unit in Castle Age, so that's a good civ to go for. And I think we saw Koreans in the previous round as well for Vagabond. And then Charon is Goths only AI, or it can play other civs, but it's mainly focused on Goths because, as you might guess, it's an infantry-based AI. So it goes for a lot of swordsmen. It's also similar to the King in that it was scripted for Age of Kings only. But Mr. Elephant has, he was a scripter of the AI, has added some abilities to use features from the user patch 1.1 version. And so that gives it a lot of enhanced abilities here. I think it still maintains an Age of Kings only version. And so you can kind of have different versions that you can play with depending on which game version you're running. And so Vagabond will probably be defensive first. So let's take a look at his map. So he decided to build a lumber camp on one of the forward forests. He got kind of a square of forest going on here. Or a diamond, I guess you might say. Bringing in the boar, which is quite nice. Got stone in the back, which will be really important for Vagabond. And also got some gold that's roughly behind. And the forge bushes being sort of ahead in front. Won't be too much of a big deal, I think. Got a mill place there by Vagabond. Meanwhile, Charon's got a mill in the back. And both the main gold and stone are... The stone's kind of fairly behind and the gold is fairly ahead. And Charon also has this sort of diamond formation of forests, which I'm guessing is scripted intentionally. You kind of randomly have different numbers of forests nearby, but keep it balanced so both players get the same amount of forest. And lastly, it looks like it's a chicken Arabia, so it might be a little bit slower of a build for both AIs. Alright, so Charon was luring the boar in. It's a good thing that it has loom, because it seemed to be actually attacking the... Maybe it was like one of the lumberjacks decided to attack the boar. Unfortunately, it looks like the boar was killed away from the TC. And in the previous patch, that would have been a bigger problem for Goss, but their hunting bonus was removed, I think. Yeah, so they only have the eco part of the boar bonus anymore. And also Charon missed a couple of his goats. So that's unfortunate. It looks like Vagabond found all of his. There's also a possibility that Vagabond might find them first. And he does. So bad luck for Charon there. So it looks like Charon doesn't have that code to go for the second boar while the first boar is being gathered. Or at least he didn't go for the boar this time, but maybe... So it looks like he probably has found the boar, but maybe it's actually in the fog of war. So that could be why Charon hasn't started gathering it yet. And yep, Charon discovered that he hasn't had all of his sheep. But the good thing is that Charon has a mill here for the hares, which should be nice to drop these off efficiently. And we got a second lumber camp here, which should be good. And Vagabond's a little bit more than 30 seconds away from feudal age. And Charon is also coming a couple villagers later. Alright, Vagabond's in feudal age. Place the market and the blacksmith. Be nice if they were a bit closer to the TC, but not the worst thing in the world. And looks like Charon will have... It's got its barracks down, so might have enough wood for a blacksmith. Okay, it's going to add an archer range. I think Charon should be able to see that boar now, but maybe it's too late at this point. Yeah, it looks like Charon's going for this forward gold here, which may or may not be a problem if he can still maintain aggression against Vagabond. But Vagabond's 2 minutes away from Castle Age and getting fletching here. And placing a mining camp for stone. We might see a whole bunch of... Okay, they're gathering from this stone, unfortunately. So I really hope that these villagers retask from this stone to go for this mining camp. But we might be waiting until this mine gets exhausted before the game will retask them. Because I don't think it'll check retasking after every time villagers drop off resources. Yeah. That's what it's looking like, unfortunately. Alright, so those villagers got retasked. Because we got a forward tower from Charon. So it looks like that tower from Charon didn't really do much. But we do have Castle Age on the way, as well as Man-at-Arms. And maybe soon we'll start seeing some swordsmen being trained. But the key for Charon is to be able to get enough swordsmen before the Vagabond can get a castle up. I'd be curious to see if Charon has code to run away from castles or not. Since it is able to use some user patch abilities. Alright, so Charon's almost all the way to Castle Age and spanking up some resources, so let's see what he adds. Alright, long swordsman and squires and wheelbarrow. Decent upgrades. But haven't started training yet. That's because the barracks are busy researching upgrades. Still not military training yet. Maybe, okay, so we're saving up for pikemen. And that's what we're going to start with. Alright, so we also got another tower being built by Charon here. Unfortunately, I think this will also get found by Vagabond. And they might also try and knock it down here. Alright, and the castle is placed by Vagabond. Alright, 5 pikes and soon 4 longswords. And I think we'll start seeing some war wagons here pretty soon. Second TC. And 1 relic. Now, no blacksmith upgrades yet. So I think Charon will want to research some of those blacksmith texts before too many soldiers are trained. Yeah, monk goes down. Yeah, without the armor upgrades, these swordsmen are going to not last very long against the war wagons. Alright, so yep, we got some retreating away from the castles. Yeah, unfortunately for Charon, infantry aren't the best against war wagons, but they seem to be handling the small numbers of war wagons so far. Alright, attacking the villagers, but the don't seem to be running away from the castle here. Pikeman almost takes out the war wagon there. Alright, Vagabond's building a second castle in a much better defensive location. So Vagabond's really going to have to step it up with mill production to be able to cause some damage against Vagabond's base. Alright, 3 war wagons, now 4 against 34 infantry soldiers. So we got 2 towers here from Charon, which are in range of each other, which is nice. I think that's some new code that Mr. Elephant added to Charon to be able to build them closer together. Unfortunately, war wagons have enough pierce armor where they might be able to take down these towers, even though the war wagon's attack bonus against buildings was reduced. So we'll see if maybe Charon goes to try and defend these towers or not. Okay, we got a villager trying to repair. Let's see if the war wagons try to attack the villager. Looks like they do. We also have a villager coming to try and build this tower behind it. Villager trying to run away. Okay, runs away to the second tower. Okay, and then Charon's army is coming to attack. Alright, let's see how this attack goes. This will be a moment of truth. Can Charon kill off all of these war wagons that have been produced? It looks like maybe the answer is yes. Alright, now will they come and start attacking Vagabond's base. Doesn't look like it. But I also don't feel like Charon is really ready to start attacking. And also something that's nice about this version of Charon is that it can go above the 50 villager limit of Age of Kings, which was super limiting. So unfortunately this tower's too far away to help attack these war wagons. So this tower might go down unless Charon decides to run in again and try to kill off those war wagons. And unfortunately for Charon, these swordsmen might have been lured in to attack the war wagons, even though they aren't all massed up. But they still seem to be doing pretty well against the war wagons here. What Vagabond really needs is some hit and run micro. If it had that, these war wagons would be doing a really good job. Alright, so it looks like the swordsmen are fleeing away from the castles, which is good. Yeah, will this tower go up? Doesn't look like it. "52 swordsmen against 15 war wagons." Alright, will that villager be able to get it up? No, it won't. Alright, Vagabond adding swordsman here. So I think we'll probably see these towers go down. And if that's true, oh, we got the first armor. Oh, that's for Vagabond. Charon already had the first armor and first attack upgrade researched. And once again, Vagabond's lack of micro and Charon's superior numbers are going to take out these war wagons just fine. I wonder if they would have the same results in Age of Kings. I think the swordsmen in Age of Kings would have been a lot worse. I think at one point they actually had 0 pierce armor base. I think the Conquerors added 1 base pierce armor to swordsmen. Just shows how weak they were when the game originally launched. Okay, good. So the Charon's deciding to retreat his soldiers here. And once again, we got some towers here in the back. How far is this one finished? Okay, so it's not gonna... Unless maybe they decide to, like, not attack this villager. A question I have is, like, which AI is going to be first to Imperial Age? It's also unfortunate these are Goth towers, so they can't really be upgraded to Guard Tower or anything like that. But they are doing a good job of distracting Vagabond from attacking Charon's base. Got another barracks being added. We Got a lot of villagers gathering from this stone mine, but it doesn't have a mining camp nearby. So I think this is the only mining camp that Charon has. Maybe I need to switch to player. Yeah, it's the only mining camp that Charon has. So we got a lot of war wagons here. 24 of them. We also have a lot of swordsmen. This time the hit point advantage is in Vagabond's favor, who has 50 more villagers than Charon. So Vagabond has the numbers advantage now. And the swordsmen aren't taking out the war wagons quite as easily. So the war wagons beat the second wave of infantry from Charon. I wonder if these soldiers are being called in by the enemy-sided response distance, SM. It seems like it'd be pretty far outside of the town size range. Alright, but all of the towers have been destroyed. And I think we might see the war wagons attacking Charon's base here pretty soon. And Vagabond is researching Imperial Age as well. Charon's trying to do some trash talk. Actually, I need a monk. I think some of the taunts are messed up in terms of the sound effects. Yeah, I think it's game over. I'll call it now, and we'll get started on the arena match. So unfortunately, Charon couldn't keep up his military advantage and pushed back against Vagabond. Alright, and we got one last match. And so for arena, Vagabond is random between Portuguese and Khmer. And Charon is still Goths. All right, and here we go. Last match between The AI is Vagabond and Charon. Alright, so Vagabond got the first game of that match. But Arena could turn out differently. I think, unfortunately for Charon, the Vagabond strategy much favors Arena. So we do have a deer arena though, so that could favor some deer pushing if either AI has script code for that. Let's see, in Vagabond's resources, most of the main resources seem to be in the back of its base, which is nice. And seems to have found all of his geese. Meanwhile, Charon is like, I don't like walls, I'm gonna delete you. And left everything except for the gates destroyed. I think that's just to like not have to worry about villagers being blocked outside the walls or things like that. Having to worry about units having to go all the way around the gate to then like attack soldiers that are attacking outside the walls, or like worrying about letting units through the gate. You just don't have to like worry about pathfinding or obstacles with the walls. But we'll see. I think the walls can be useful in AI matches to delay the enemy. Yeah, and Charon's gold is pretty far forward as well. And same with the gold, really. So if Charon is ends up being the defender, it's going to have to really defend itself or not rely on gold so much. And also seem to miss a couple of turkeys here in the back. So taking a look at the results so far in the tournament for these AIs, let's take a look at Vagabond first. So in the first round, Vagabond played against Silverton. Vagabond won in Arena and lost on Arabia, so it split the match. And then Vagabond lost both games to DE AI. And then Charon lost both games to Naga, and then split its set with Sedurhana, lost on Arabia and won on Arena. So Charon can still get a win on Arena even without its walls, and Goths don't like walls anyway. Let's see, so Charon's without limb for the moment, which is strange as Goths, you could research that immediately. But maybe it's Goths are scripted for, I think Charon is ultimately like intended to be an Age of Kings AI, and the Goths didn't have their loom bonus like they do now. So that probably explains why Charon doesn't have limb yet. Meanwhile, Vagabond has limb, which explains why he's behind on villagers. And also has some idle TC time, unfortunately. And just like what we saw with Gladiator, has built the mill way out here in front. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to have been delayed by wolves like Gladiator's mill was. But we have a lumber camp in a pretty good spot by Vagabond. And Charon hasn't built his... Okay, he's about to build his first lumber camp. Fairly far away. And we also have a whole bunch of villagers gathered on the other side, unfortunately. So we might be seeing these villagers walking a long distance for quite a while when gathering wood. At least these villagers will be fairly close to the lumber camp, but it might be a little bit before they switch to chopping down these trees. Most likely it'll be when they finish chopping whatever tree they're at right now, and then they'll find a new tree close to the lumber camp. That's just kind of how the AI engine usually works for finding resources to gather. It won't always detect that they're gathering from resources that's far away and retask them immediately, like a human would. Alright, so looks like Charon has found the mill here with how many villagers? 12. I don't know if Charon will be able to be quick enough to get some man-at-arms to attack this mill while they're still gathering the forest bushes, but these villagers are pretty vulnerable right now. Yeah, it looks like Charon is going to long-distance gather the deer. Which is probably better overall than not gathering the deer at all. But I think I answered the question of whether Charon can like push deer, and would it be surprising? I don't think the user patch 1.1 had code to push deer, so that's about as best that Charon can really do here. And Vagabond's ignoring the deer entirely, it looks like. But Vagabond will be first to Feudal Age, followed by Charon maybe like 10-20 seconds later. But Charon will have 2 more villagers, which is pretty significant. And Charon has Loom right now. Just happened to get it very quick. We were able to get it right before Feudal Age, and then it got it basically 2 villagers ahead. Alright, and Vagabond has a market pretty far away. And is there a blacksmith coming for Vagabond? I think we'll see one soon, but looks like Vagabond didn't have the wood for blacksmith. Okay, there it does. Charon's adding a mining camp for gold. Meanwhile, looks like no other buildings, village buildings for Charon. Has the food for Castle Age, but still needs to get the Feudal Age buildings and the gold for it. It will be Vagabond that gets the Castle Age first, but all these villagers gathering from forage bushes, they exhausted the forage bushes here, but they're gathering without a mill, which is going to slow down the economy quite a lot. Alright, got a mining camp for stone. Vagabond's characteristic strategy is a castle drop, so we'll see a castle and then some ballista elephants. We'll have to see if those do a better job against infantry than the war wagons did. Alright, so we got a forward tower from Charon. Looks like Vagabond is going to like send the scout in to try and knock this down. And the scout has 4 attack against the tower, so the tower will go down eventually. Faster than it'll take down this blacksmith. Now I'll be curious to see if Charon tries to add a second tower nearby or not. And Vagabond will be reaching Castle Age here, just right now. No drastic changes, but adding Bowsaw, which will be nice. And we got a second lumber camp from Charon. So I don't think these man-at-arms will go to the defense of the tower. It does seem a bit strange to have a tower rush without soldiers to go and attack along with the tower rush. But I guess it's hard to have that synchronization together with your army and towers without a lot of more advanced AI code. And Charon won't really have the potential to be able to do that. But all you could do is just tell the AI soldiers to attack. And they might not attack the same area that the towers are in. But you can tell a villager to build a tower nearby another tower, which is what Charon's doing right now. But that scout might attack this villager. Looks like the tower continued to attack the blacksmith, so that scout wasn't hurt at all. So Charon has long swordsmen, but doesn't seem to be using them yet. Alright, Get in a monastery. Alright, Vagabond added in the town center, as well as the castle, which is about halfway built. Alright, so that scout was almost killed here. Now, if this swordsman can come and attack the scout, that would be nice. But one of this swordsman might just be exploring here. Alright, so the scout is being chasing this villager away. Alright, so we got a villager kill, so that's worth it. But I think this scout might go down here. So we might see... Well, we'll have to see if this tower strategy can pay off here. We already got a ballistic elephant coming forward. 3 pierce armor is a decent amount of armor. Looks like the scout might be coming to defend, but it's not going to do a very good job. The Blessed Halvin has a lot better stats, but the second tower might go up. Okay, looks like it will because the Blessed Elephant is attacking this tower instead. And 11 damage, so that's actually quite a lot of damage against buildings. And third TC from Vagabond. It's interesting that both are being made outside of the base. Alright, looks like Charon might be launching an attack here. It's also under attack by this Ballistic Elephant. Now this monk could... Okay. Okay, too bad the monk couldn't convert the Bliss Elephant. That could have helped out a lot. So this Bliss Elephant was killed. Alright, so we got... This tower was protected, and a third tower might be going up here soon. No more Bliss Elephants currently for Vagabond, but a second castle is being built right now. Let's see, we'll have 3 relics for Vagabond and 1 relic at least for Charon. Maybe just 1 because I think Charon doesn't have any monks left. Alright, these horsemen might be attacking this TC here. If so, it's probably a good target. It should go down pretty quickly. Come on, soldiers, do your job. Alright, there we go. They finally woke up and decided to do something. Let's see, will they get this monk? Yes, they will. And that was the last relic on the map. So who knows, maybe this monk will get this relic. But it'd be pretty hard to prevent these monks from getting it at this point. Alright, TC is down. Alright, so yep, Charon might be getting this relic here. Let's see. Killing off this monk. Got a race for the relic. Who's gonna win? I think it'll be Charon. Alright, blacksmith went down. So we're starting to get a little bit of a mini fortress area going on here. Fifth tower being built. I still don't think they're gonna do a whole lot of damage against this Ballista Elephant. That 3 pierce armor is a lot to attack for these towers in total. Vagabond is climbing ahead in economy, so if Charon wants to be able to take this match, he needs to be able to use his soldiers and do some damage with them. Pikemen will do a good job against the Ballista Elephants, I think. But so far this is a lot of time of not doing anything. I don't know if maybe Charon is deciding to try and get a siege workshop and some rams. But 50 military against 6, that's a big enough advantage that you should be able to do something with that. Yeah, and I imagine that's what the case is, where it's trying to get a big enough army that it doesn't have to be afraid of the castles. But for that, I think you need to prioritize the siege workshop and get to that point. But Vagabond starting the attack. Let's see how long these towers last. So yeah, these towers just not doing much against the Ballista Elephants. So getting the +2 armor. But I think Charon might be losing his window to cause some damage here. So yeah, more time you give, the more castles Vagabond builds. And also, economy is climbing higher and higher. If you're behind in an economy, you basically have to make it messy for your opponent with your military. Either by getting ahead in technology, getting some nice upgrades, or by causing some damage with the military that you do have. Otherwise, you're basically giving your opponent time to climb further ahead and win the game. Alright, Vagabond coming to attack through Charon's invisible walls. So as expected, the attack from Vagabond didn't really do much. Actually got a converted Ballista Elephant. But even with 2 rams, the Charon's army is failing to attack. And looks like another attack coming from Vagabond. Alright, so these looks like these units are just chasing units down here. Let's see how these swordsmen do. I think they'll most likely end up just getting killed off because their hit points were outnumbered. Alright, Imperial Age coming for Charon, so he'll be the first Imperial Age. Unfortunately, neither of the unique techs will be available to Charon, especially Perfusion, so that would really limit the Goth's Imperial Age spam. Alright, so it looks like Charon is attacking, researching two-handed swordsmen. Hopefully they come in before any big battle starts. Alright, two-handed swordsman is in. Alright, so something I'm noticing is that it seems like Vagabond is like losing a whole bunch of villagers. And I didn't catch that early enough to notice what might be going on here. So once this match finishes, I'm gonna open up the rec and we can watch that and see how Vagabond lost a whole bunch of villagers. But it seems like Charon is actually ahead here. It's possible that Vagabond might have just been sending a whole bunch of villagers into Charon's base or against the towers. So if Vagabond's economy just died to Tower Love Syndrome, that would be pretty unfortunate. But these rams ran away from the castles for some reason. Alright, Charon deleted his walls and is building his own. Yeah, so my guess is that the Vagabond keeps on sending villagers in to try and gather resources out here. You can tell by all of the mining camps that it looks like Vagabond has not been setting the mining camp or lumber camp distance high enough for the villagers to be able to have a good drop site. This is the only one that's really available. Alright, Charon's first castle is being built. Alright, so I'm seeing a pattern. These rams keep on going back to the TC I'm hope that they're not retreating from these castles because those rams need to attack them. Alright, so I hope that Charon can add some trebuchets, because otherwise we might be here a while waiting for these rams to attack the castles but then running away. Alright, Vagabond is adding a whole bunch of mining camps because it gathered the last of this gold here, pretty much. So it looks like we've reached a point in the game where that Vagabond hasn't really been scripted or tested for. Alright, looks like there's a gap in the walls here. If Vagabond ends up basically losing all of his villagers but having his castle still standing, I'll call the game for Charon. Alright, got a trebuchet here. Hopefully the trebuchet attacks soon. Alright, we got an attack here. Oh no, they're just defending this castle. 210 pop. Looks like they're not attacking yet. But we got champion being researched, so that's cool. Alright, here we go. Attack has been started. Does Charon use attack groups? Or attack now? Alright, so what's the trebuchet going to attack? Alright, good, it's one of the castles. I'm gonna speed the game up here. Yep, I'm gonna call the game here. A second wave from Charon would end the game. And Vagabond's not coming back from this. Alright, so like I said, I want to take a look at the recording here. So give the point to Charon. What I'm going to do as well, this is speeding up. I'm going to update the scores, and then once we see what happened to Vagabond's villagers, and then I'll show the scores at the end of round 3. It sounded like there was a whole bunch of like random screaming going on. I guess it's the foxes. Yeah, I don't think I ever noticed the fox sound effect before. But I guess the game's going so quick that the sounds sound very frequent. But it sounds like people fleeing like a burning building or something. Alright, so looks like a whole bunch of like mining camp spam started here for Vagabond. Alright, watch the Eco KD. So Vagabond is starting to lose villagers here. Alright, keeps on sending villagers this way. So maybe they're trying to gather from this gold. Yeah, so gold miner. Yeah, so looks like the cause was villagers going forward. Some of them are killed by towers, some of them were killed by military, chasing them away after they tried to go for this gold. So it looks like the towers were actually doing a big job, but it looks like Vagabond unfortunately mostly lost because of having a max drop site distance that was set too large. Not just by like sending all the villagers to try to attack the towers, it looks like. Just being villagers like trying to gather from the gold and not having a drop site that was close enough. Alright, so enough of that.